Hello and welcome to the Bipolar Baby podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Barrera. At the age of 24, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. That is the day I was reborn. In this podcast, we'll explore what it's like living with bipolar 2 through my own personal experience and overall mental health struggles. Get ready to get personal. I'll be sharing tools that have helped me get through the tough times, as well as the wonderful experiences I've had through my self-love journey and spiritual healing. Together, we will develop new healthy habits, hold each other accountable, and put our mental health first. My intention is to shine a light and release any stigma there is around mental health. Let's create a community where we feel safe and open to have conversations about our mental health. Together, we can grow, thrive, and shine. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Bipolar Baby podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Barrera, and I am so beyond excited to get this podcast started. It has been a long time in the making as far as me ever wanting to create a podcast, and honestly, I never really knew what topic to start with. I had an idea for doing one on crystals like maybe 7 years ago, but yeah, never went with it. So bear with me here because honestly, this is going to be a huge learning curve for me. I am somebody who starts things and never really finishes them, but I am making it a big, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm making it a huge goal for myself and holding myself accountable to really making this podcast something that I wish I had when just beginning, my bipolar journey. This is going to be 10 years of, since my diagnosis, and it has been such a wild ride from, not being diagnosed and making really poor decisions to getting diagnosed and still making poor decisions to now being where I am, which is for the most part happy, stable, and I still have my bad days, my down days, but for the most part I have really gained the tools that have helped me get to where I am today, which is having a super healthy relationship with my husband and basically just getting one of the best jobs that I've had my whole life. It's been a really great journey. I'm so happy to be able to be in this place and to be able to share everything I've learned along the way. And I'm continuing to learn. I want this podcast to be a hub of education, of self-love, of self-improvement, of basically anything accountability with ourselves. This is a podcast, like I said, I wish I had when I was just starting my journey. There has been such a gap between me being on this journey by myself and not really knowing anybody else that is living with bipolar 2 or, even bipolar 1. But I know for a fact that, there are more of us out there, but it's just like, where can I find my people that, understand me and where we can help each other out in this life? So I just really wanted to create the space for whoever might need it, including myself, because I am still, like I said, learning new techniques to be the best version of myself that I can be. And I'm really holding myself accountable to those goals. Something I've recently been doing is reading The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And it's been beautiful. And I really am loving it, but I'm not gonna lie, there are times when I don't do my morning pages or am super resistant to doing those morning pages. Morning pages are an exercise in which, as soon as you wake up, you fill 3 pages in a notebook with just basically anything that comes to mind. It's something that helps really clear your mind and set you up for the day. And I will say, like, the first handful of times that I've done it, it has helped me immensely. Where basically I'm like, okay, if I know that helps me, why would I not do it, right? But the thing is, I feel like a lot of times we self sabotage where we know something is good for us and we totally avoid it, or the complete opposite, where we know it's not the best decision to make, but we make it anyway, right? And those were the decisions that I had been making up until maybe 3 years ago, I would say. And I was getting out of relationship after relationship, you know, one after the other, not really ever being alone by myself. And I feel like really letting the relationship shape who I was at the time. And whether that was me being with somebody that, I didn't even want to really work on myself. I had been in a big self discovery and spiritual healing journey ever since 2008. My family, I don't know how they came about finding it, but they found The Secret. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about that up until this point. But if not, that's totally okay. And welcome to the world of woo woo. Just kidding. The world of manifestation. But yes, it was eye opening. Like, when I watched that movie, my soul was like on fire. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, life can be this simple. And the basic overall feel good and things will happen for you, right? Like, have a good mindset and things will come. Well, let me tell you, I really put that into the test. I put it to the test. I was like, you know what? Yeah, life is easy. This is so great. I can do anything. And, now knowing some of the like signs that, having bipolar have is like feeling a sense of, I can do anything, or like in a manic state, right? And it's interesting because it's still a part of who I am. And I know that to my core. Having bipolar doesn't define you, it doesn't define who you are. And, the qualities that you have as a person are still your qualities. That's like something we'll dive into way maybe in the next couple episodes or later. But to stick with the first step of the journey as far as my healing and how I got here, it all started with The Secret. And basically testing out the techniques and really putting myself in the mental mindset of who I wanted to be and what I wanted from life. So, what did I manifest in that first year? Well, I manifested Jonas Brothers tickets on the radio. I did a meet and greet with the Jonas Brothers, and it was like, it's so funny to me to think that that happened. And I basically, well, even before the Jonas Brothers, that was a test to prove to other people that I could, in fact, win tickets on the radio a second time. Because the first time I won tickets on the radio to the Spice Girls reunion tour, okay? I was a senior in high school. I remember like calling into Kiss FM, and I was like, I just knew in my heart, I was like, these tickets are already mine. Like, they're mine. Nobody else's. Like, only I can have these tickets. Like, they're mine. Like, it's done. And sure enough, they were mine. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, I mean, that was like the first true test of knowing that anything was possible if I just believed. See it, think it, be it, whatever. I don't remember how it goes, but I lived it and it was amazing. And to prove to people that I had the power and I could do it again, I was at the park with my high school friends and they're like, yeah, okay, you're not going to do it. And it was the last time that they were giving tickets away for this specific Jonas Brothers meet and greet concert. And I was like, no way, guys, I got this. Like, I'm totally fine. I got this. So here I go into my boyfriend at the time, his like parents' minivan that we were driving around. And I remember like calling and being like, oh my God, okay. And then I got in my head, right? And I was like, maybe I don't have them. And no, I was like, these are mine. And so they answer. And I was like, oh my God. And I look out the window and my friends were like, oh my God. And in order to win these tickets, you had to basically talk about tow trucks for, I think, a minute it was, without saying or like. And so I was like, okay. And see, even right now, I just use the word like because it's so easy. But I started saying, tow trucks are red, green, blue, silver, turquoise. They pick up things. And I just kept saying the most ridiculous nonsense that I could just like think of. And colors were it. Like I was just saying color after color. And sure enough, amazingly enough, I won. And I was like mind blown. Like I was like, whoa, it happened again, like crazy. But yeah, so that was like the second time that ever really worked. But I feel like the main thing I ever manifested at that time when I was that young was the perfect roommate in the perfect dorm room with our own bathroom. And if you have been to, any kind of college, some of them, I will say, you have to share a bathroom with many people, or at least like another room. And I remember just repeating over and over, like really getting that into my like DNA of like, I'm going to have I have, because we have to say it as if we already have it. I would say, I have the perfect roommate with the perfect dorm room with our own bathroom. I'm going to get to live in this dorm and blah, 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 blah. And I would just say it over and over again. And I'd say, I have the perfect roommate. We're best friends. She's going to be the maid of honor at my wedding. Like, I was in it to win it. Like, and I remember being at Target getting like dorm room stuff, prepping for freshman year of college. And my mom was like, okay, but Erica, like, what if that doesn't happen? Like, she didn't want me to get my hopes up, which is totally understandable. And I just remember being like, Mom, no, it's happening. And she was like, okay. And with with law of attraction and everything, it's basically like what you say is law, right? So what I was saying was my law. And sure enough, you guys, I got exactly that. I got not only the dormitory place that I wanted to live in, I got the perfect roommate. We had our own bathroom that we didn't have to share with anyone. And she was not a bridesmaid / maid of honor at my wedding, but she was the officiant. Okay, that is like leveled up. Like, my sisters ended up being my maid of honor, which was perfect. And she was just like the perfect role of connecting my younger adult self to like my now adult self, of like being a woman and like being with a really healthy man after she has seen me be with not so healthy people, during our time of being roommates together. And Even me and her have been through so much in our friendship. She has seen me completely change in my life, like from my relationship even to my mother, to myself. And, I went through some really dark places that we will get into eventually. But for now, we're going to keep it light, just, a nice little introduction. This was like the very beginning of my healing journey. There was definitely a huge gap in between being in college, my first year or two. I went to college at Columbia College in Chicago. So it's an art school for those who might not know, and I studied fashion design. And my second semester, I decided I wanted to do fashion design and acting. And I was like, wait, what? Like, when I showed up to my first day of acting class, I was like, oh man, we have to read monologues? Like, I have to do speeches? And I was like, who am I kidding? Why am I here? And I always considered myself like a really outgoing person, but in a room full of theater kids, like I was like a hermit, like and a little crab, like in my shell. I couldn't. I didn't even know how I was supposed to be there. So, long story short, I ended up leaving college during my second semester. And actually, yeah, that was like the second year. So I was stayed out the whole first year, something like that. I don't even see, guys, sometimes the timeline is very fuzzy. And that's why I feel like this is a really good outlet to be able to kind of get this all out there. And I will say there was dark times, like I mentioned, where, I made really bad choices with my health and with substance abuse. And I'm completely open about that. And not many may know, but I do want to put that out there because I know that there are other people who are either struggling now or have also struggled in the past. And I also don't want that to be something that anyone should be ashamed of, because this is all part of our journey and it's okay. And at the end of the day, it's important that we do really honor ourselves and acknowledge the things that we have done and really heal from that, because shame is just something that is never going to help you. You don't need to hang on to that. It's okay. It's okay to grow from things. You don't have to hang on to them, and they do not define who you are. So, get a little intense from here and there, but it's just something that I just get so passionate about because I just want everybody to know it's okay and it will be okay. All is well. You are safe, as Louise Hay would say. That's just another teacher of mine that we will definitely go into. There are so many people and teachers that I have met or even just listened to along the way, and I cannot wait to share all of the life lessons I've learned so far, all the different tools that have helped heal me. It's honestly so amazing, the journey of getting to reconnect with yourself. And sometimes we don't even realize that there was a disconnect to begin with. But the purpose of life is really to feel good and connect with others and make this world a better place. Because when we take care of ourselves, we're able to take care of others. We have to love ourselves before we can love anybody else unconditionally. We have to do that for ourselves. And we have to heal whatever it is that we need to heal. And honestly, that comes with time. And there is no, as you may hear here and there, or maybe not yet, but healing is not linear. Okay? Remember, healing is not linear. You can do so much work, feel great about yourself, and then one day feel like you're starting all over again. And guess what? You basically are. It's like, it's just one big circle of, you know, like you're like an onion and you just peel back all these layers until you're getting to that core of who you truly are. And then along the way, sometimes layers build back up, but that's okay. We tend to think, that those layers that we grab onto are going to protect us. But there's always a bigger lesson, and helping each other is really important to get through this. But really, you have to focus on yourself. With this first episode, I really just wanted to establish a connection together. And honestly, it's one of those things that I don't want to overthink too much, because if I do, I know that the intro I've created, the momentum that I've gathered is just going to sit there. And I want to be completely honest about where this podcast even came from. And this will give you a little insight to who I am, honestly, as well. And it's okay if you don't connect with what I'm saying, but for those of you who do connect with what I'm saying, that makes me so happy. And hey, if you're open to it, that makes me even happier. So I want to be completely honest. There has been twice where, well, let me back up. So I'm somebody who has very vivid dreams. Like, we're talking, I remember where I am in the dream, I'm talking to the people, and then I wake up and feel like I just lived a whole life in another place, and now I'm exhausted, and I didn't even sleep at all. So I have a lot of these dreams, and I love dreaming. It's great. I mean, it's really insightful a lot of the time, and I do want to do more dream work, but that's besides the point. What I'm saying is I wanted to be more intentional about my dreaming. And honestly, like I said, I was getting a little tired, so I Googled crystals that would be good, like, to work with during sleep. And I'm going to tell you now, I am a huge crystal lover. I love anything like with crystals, crystal jewelry. I will say that is like the one tool that I connected with in spirituality before almost any other tool. Crystals have helped me through so many of my life moments, including job interviews, being grounded in everyday life, clearing my energy, and now in my dream world, apparently. And so I had read somewhere that Herkimer diamonds are really good for placing under your pillow, or just having near you during sleep, and to ask them a question. So something that I've really been sitting with recently is, how can I be of service to others? It's a question that I've been asking for the past month or so. And I just ask God, universe, whoever you want to say. But I just, have felt really connected to saying the word God recently. But it's all the same. It's just a higher power, whether that's within us that we think or not. But yeah, so I'll just say, God, please use me. I am ready. And that night, it's happened twice. This was the second time it's happened where I asked this question and I said, please show me. Show me what I need to do. Show me the next step. And this time when I asked, it was clear in my head, podcast. And I was like, what? So it's hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you can't question when these things come into your mind. You might think, okay, that was random. But no, it's for a reason. That is your intuition talking to you. That is your higher self talking to you. You're being divinely guided into just, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's like an inner knowing when you know that you have to do something. So I also really meditated that evening, and granted, it's 1 a.m. at this point where I'm just laying in bed and letting all this information just flow to me. And there's a couple different names I had and a couple different ideas I had for this podcast too. But ultimately, it kept going back to living life with having bipolar. And I really do believe that that is my mission at this point in my life right now, to share. I feel like there's not enough people who talk about their success stories with having bipolar. And whether that's maybe that I haven't just come across them. I mean, I would love to know of anybody. I would love to know people's success stories themselves, or that people they know. Like, I am here for the success stories. I'm also here for the hard times too, but I really felt like there was a missing gap between people that openly talked about their bipolar or any mental health, and whether it was work, family, or relationships. So basically, what I'm trying to say, and I may go on rants from here and there, so apologies, but I'll get better at this, I promise. Or maybe I won't. But either way, so that night, which was literally like, I think last night, oh my God, that's crazy to think about, but that was literally last night / this morning, where I was like, okay, we're making a podcast. It's called Bipolar Baby. And I feel like some people might look at that and, I don't know, like hopefully aren't offended. But for me, it's like totally removing the stigma and having it be not a taboo word, right? Like bipolar. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's fine. I remember when I first got diagnosed, I was like, oh my God, what? You just hear about this here and there, but it's scary when you don't know. I learned quickly after getting diagnosed, after many misdiagnoses, that, oh my God, yeah, this is who I am. These are personality traits that I thought were me when I was making these really, off the seat of my pants choices that weren't in the best, my best interest. But I do not regret a single one, because they have made me who I am. But that's why I am calling this podcast Bipolar Baby, because that day that I was diagnosed, I literally felt like a newborn baby. I was learning all over again who I was, how I was going to live my life, but this time like as an adult, And it's like there's so much power in knowing what is going on inside of you. And I'm here to say it's okay. You'll get through it. And honestly, it is such a blessing to be able to know what's going on, and to, like I always say, knowledge is power. And once you have that knowledge, you are able to do whatever you want with that. At first, for me, it was really hard to give up some of my lifestyle choices, which weren't healthy still, but I found my way. And I'm not perfect by any means, but my main goal is to just let people know it's okay. You're gonna be okay. You are okay. And I am so excited to just be here with all of you and know that we got this. We got this. And with that, I think we are going to wrap it up with our first episode ever. Thank you so much for being here and for listening in. I can't wait to just keep uncovering this journey together and living it together and creating a beautiful, safe space and community. Until next time. With my full heart and gratitude, I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in today. May we always remember that we are pure light and love. Share this podcast with any friend or family member you feel called to, and we love to hear any takeaways or aha moments you got from this episode. Be sure to tag us at Bipolar Baby Podcast.